Hello, Jillian Sidoti, and hello
everyone
out there. Welcome to the Last Life Ever podcast. My name is Jeffrey Holst, and as you know, that is Jillian Sidoti.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Tonight's very special guest was a former NFL player, Marques. He told me how to say it, and it's Marcus.
Marcus, yeah, it's very complicated.
It's French, but it's Marcus. It's Marcus. I want to say Marquez. Like, see, I want to French it up.
Yeah, no, don't French it up. Let's just go with Marcus, and let's just hurry up and bring Marcus on because he's super awesome, and we want to talk to him.
Absolutely, right after this.
Help me, my brother, can you lend me a hand as I walk through this land of confusion? If we give to each other, then there's nothing to take. Let's live life for the moment before it slips away.
We want to tell our audience a little bit about your background. So, why don't we just start there, Jillian? What do you got? Any riveting questions right off the bat?
Tell us what made you decide to retire. Was it an injury? Was it just you didn't like it anymore? What made you decide to retire from the NFL?
So I ended up having a back injury, and when I played with Tennessee, I was kind of on the lighter side because my father passed away the year before, so I was kind of a little bit going through some depression, and I was training, but it wasn't training the right way like I used to train when I was younger, and my father was alive and things like that. So I ended up having a pretty bad back injury, and I had a choice: either get a settlement and go out of the NFL, or try to push through it. And if I pushed through it, I wouldn't have gotten a settlement. I made the tough decision to go ahead and take the settlement, and I moved on in my life. And I was 27 years old at the time.
What year was that?
That was 2007, 2008 season.
So, and you were playing for Tennessee, the Titans at that time.
Correct. Yeah. Matter of fact, it's awesome. I saw my old head coach, Jeff Fisher, just got hired. Eddie George just took the head football coaching job at Tennessee State, which is a historical Black college. Deacon Jones went there. Ed Too Tall Jones went there. And so now Eddie's the head coach, and then he hired Jeff to be one of his top
awesome.
Analysts.
No, that's great. That's great. So, and all right. So you left the NFL and you started a business in real estate development, if I understand correctly.
Real estate construction.
Yeah, real estate construction. So 2007, the market was super hot. 2008, not so much. So tell us about that. Like, what happened around then?
So we started the company, Jeff, in 2008, and we had some really great success in the first 3 years. We became the largest African-American subcontracting company in the city of Baltimore and the state of Maryland for 2 years. But unfortunately, Jeff, as the company grew, so did my ego, my bravado. I didn't listen to anybody. You couldn't tell me anything. As a result of that, I ended up making some really poor decisions, and I ended up having to file a Chapter 7 bankruptcy in 2013.
So I'm a former bankruptcy attorney, so I'm very familiar with that, and actually ended up filing bankruptcy myself in 2010. So entirely different story, but I certainly sympathize with that. That's a tough thing to go through.
Yeah, it is.
It's so for people that haven't been through that, you sit down in front of a bankruptcy trustee and you testify under oath that this is it. You don't have anything left, that you're done, and you're just going to walk away from everything. That's what a Chapter 7's about. You really don't get to keep anything. You just got to walk right away.
Home was foreclosed on, Jeff. Both cars repossessed in the same day. When I moved to Raleigh in 2013, I had $400 to my name. That's all I had left.
Yeah, that's tough. And I'm assuming when you got your settlement, it was more than $400.
Oh my God. Yeah. So oh my God. And that's the thing. What happened was, Jeff, I ended up spending about $2.5 to $3 million of my money on for a big contractor developer in downtown Baltimore, and I trusted them, and I did a bunch of change order work without a signed contract or signed change order because I was under a lot of pressure from the concrete contractor, the developer. They said, just go ahead, Marcus, do the job. We're going to take care of you. Whatever you need, we'll get it paid. No. And I was young and I was impressionable, and I trusted them, and I made a really bad mistake. And that's why I tell my clients today, never, ever put a past job with what you're doing now. Every job stands on its own.
Wow.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
That's solid advice. That's tough. Yeah, I can see how that would happen though. I mean, it's easy, especially if you work with someone for a while and you feel like they're good people or whatever, and you just kind of go with it. But there is something to be said. I'm gonna have to start double checking Jillian's work now. Make sure she's not trying to sneak something past me.
That's awesome.
On a podcast that we're on together at
Yeah, that we make no money on. And it's hard to imagine what that would be, but I'm going to be watching you.
There you go, Jeff. There's a lawyer right there talking.
Well, she's a lawyer too, so I'm kind of screwed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, you're screwed, buddy. Sorry. You lose.
Back up for a second, because you said some really insightful things, like some real soul searching stuff, like that your own ego got in the way. Explain what you mean by that. Where did you recognize this? Because the story you told doesn't exactly match up with an ego play. It matches more up with a young, impressionable guy being taken advantage of. Where did your ego fall into this?
So as the company started making a lot of money, Jillian, I became very self-centered. I started focusing on the money, the limelight, the fame, the notoriety, the awards, all the things that didn't mean a damn thing, to be honest with you. And I lost sight of how to treat people, how to value people. And as a result of that, I made some really bad mistakes. I didn't listen to my employees. I didn't create a healthy, inclusive environment. As a result of that, I ended up just shunning people that I should not have shunned. I didn't listen to people to listen to. And when my best employee left, he was my right-hand person, he was my estimator and my top project manager, Jillian. When he left, the company ended up going bankrupt like he predicted, unfortunately, 6 months later.
Wow. Oh, wow. That's stressful. Did you, what did you do to, check yourself, I guess? Obviously you filed for bankruptcy. That probably brings you down to a certain edge, but did you go to therapy? How did you start over?
So actually the bankruptcy didn't check me at all. Actually, the bankruptcy made me a more arrogant a-hole.
No way.
Because I was blaming everybody but myself, right, Jillian? My business partner, the developer, the contractor, my employees. What woke me up was when I got here, I had $400 my name. I was working at Merrill Lynch in Durham, North Carolina. For a couple of months, I got fired, all my fault. I ended up going to a construction company the next day, got a company truck, phone, laptop, first week's pay. I got in from the gym. I was rolling. I told my fiance, now my wife, I'm back, honey. I got my truck. Here's my phone. She's like, did you get a contract? I said, what did the contract for? He gave me all this money, $1,000 cash, and I'm got a car now. I'm back. 5 days later, he fired me. He put down a sales position. Gone. So then what happened was I was teaching kids football to the youth, right? And I ended up making a really, really bad mistake. Was I ended up doing football training solely, but when the kids got into playing the season, the lessons got less and less. And unfortunately, I was running out of clients to kind of renew. And what happened is that I took a job as a custodian making $8.20 an hour in downtown Baltimore, in downtown Raleigh, North Carolina. And what happened was when I had my humbling moment, it's what I call my spoiled milk moment, when somebody's trash and rotten meat and banana peels and horrible, protruding, nasty smelling garbage got over my body, my clothes, everything. And that was when I went to the curb after I finished cleaning myself up, sat down on the curb, put my head in my hands, started to cry. And I said, wow, what the hell has happened to my life? And I realized, Jeff and Jillian, no accountability, no ownership, no structure, and no ownership of what I did, good, bad, or indifferent. As a result of that, I ended up waking up right at that moment. And I said, all right, Marcus, if you don't turn around now, are you all familiar with the television show Married with Children?
Sure.
So I told myself, I don't want to be another Al Bundy. Like, I was a great high school football player. I was a great, I scored 4 touchdowns in one game. I didn't want to be that guy. And if I didn't wake up right then and there, that was going to be the rest of my life. So I went home that morning. I wrote down my goals and said, what do I want to be? What can I do? What's my passion? I wrote down these 3 strings. I was good at communication, good at speaking, and I wanted to help people, especially NFL athletes, not make my mistake. So I ended up doing just that, and I launched my speaking career. First 2.5 years, not one paid job. 30 straight months being told no, no, no. I still worked as a custodian. I did football training. I did 7-on-7 camps. I was a birthday clown at birthday parties for kids. Then what happened was I got my first paid job finally from Miller Mock College in Wilmington, North Carolina. And from there, I got some coaching, learned a little bit more. And then, so it's actually 5 years this month for my first paid job. I've worked for 19 Fortune 500 companies as a speaker, a consultant, a coach. One of my biggest clients is number 2 in the world ketchup supplier, Red Gold Quality of Elwood, Indiana. And I have some amazing clients. I have a booming business. I've written 2 best-selling books. But I tell you, by 7.5 years ago, I was a custodian taking out the trash, making $8 an hour with about $1,000 total in my bank account, and nothing else, and just pretty much down and almost out.
So, and I do a little bit of speaking from the stage kind of stuff once in a while, right? But like, I feel like it's difficult to go up on stage when you're a custodian and say, hey, look, I know what I'm talking about, right? Because you kind of feel like you haven't made it yet, right?
Right.
So how did you get past that part of it? Like,
so honestly, I stopped being a custodian after about 6 months, March 2014. And what I really did, Jim, was I leaned on my inner circle. I went to people in my network that I talked to, that I knew. I trained their kids in football. And that's how I got my first corporate non-paid job with NetApp. And I took that, did a horrible job, came back to NetApp, did another job, did well, got a reference letter. Then one Fortune 500 company became 2, it became 3, it became 4. Next thing I started getting paid $1,500, $2,500. 5,000, then 10,000, and then it's kept going from there. But I tell everybody, I'm the guy that literally had peanuts, dollars, pennies on the dollar when I got to Raleigh. So if you're going through hard times, difficult times, you're feeling stressed out, anxious, that's why my first book is called Sleepless Nights. I had so many sleepless nights between September 2013 and probably about May of 2018.
Yeah, that's a hard thing. I mean, just the idea to keep yourself focused and staying positive during that time has got to have been really difficult.
Sure.
I know for me, I always admire people that overcome adversity, but that doesn't mean I want extra adversity in my life, right? So what would you say to people that maybe, they're just kind of going along, maybe they have a job, they're paying their bills, but they feel like they're missing something? Like, what would you say to those people?
Either one or two things. One, write down your own strengths, what you do best, come up with a plan for yourself, keep working your day job, and work towards your desire, your passion, your career. Or number 2, hire a coach to work with you, to help you strategize, to cut down the lead time. I tell all my clients, I've coached a lot of people, you're hiring me so you don't make the same mistakes I did. You're going to cut down your lead time. You're not going to make those same mistakes. I'm not going to let you get it on over your head, because I've made millions of dollars. I've made $8 an hour. I've had millions in the bank. I've had $400. I've been on the top in the NFL stadiums, drafted. I'm the first and only offensive lineman ever drafted from Howard University. And I've been a guy that was a custodian pushing a broom. I've been around. I've seen it all. And I'm like, I'm not going to let you make the same mistakes that I did.
I want to meet this wife of yours. What a testament of her, standing by her man, even in the darkest of times. That's pretty cool.
We met on Match.com in July of 2012. She came to meet me in person in August 2012, moved in with me November 2012. She left her job, moved in with me in Baltimore. She was in North Carolina. And then I started to prepare to file a bankruptcy February 2013. And I gave her the choice. I said, you can stay with me. You can sign up for this, or you can go ahead and move on and be happy. No hard feelings. I won't think any less of you because you didn't sign for this. She stayed with me. And she was the reason, because when I got fired from both jobs in the same week, She said, you have 1 day to mope. Just one. After you finish moping, get your big butt off the couch and go to work. And that's what I did.
That is so cool.
If you were a person listening to the show right now and you found yourself really in one of those really bad spots, what's one piece of advice that you think that could help them start the process of turning it around?
Talk to your inner circle. Your inner circle is more valuable than you think. But if you don't talk to them, you don't tell them anything, you're going to be in trouble. Do you all hear about the football player who killed those people in South Carolina, in Rock Hill, South Carolina? I was talking to one of my clients today.
Yeah, just recently, right?
Yeah, last week. And he has CTE problems, but I was talking to a client of mine. One of his female friends was very good friends with him. And she tried to get him to talk to somebody about his issues, depression, the hard times, but he wouldn't do it. And she tried to get him to talk even to my client to help him, but nobody could get through to him. And he committed this horrible, heinous act and took his own life. So again, your inner circle can be such a powerful tool, a powerful resource, but you have to take the courage to get off of your butt and let them know what's going on.
So basically be vulnerable.
Correct. Be vulnerable, be authentic, and be real. Your inner circle, if they're really your inner circle, Jillian, they'll never judge you.
That's so true too. I mean, Jeff and I can both attest to that. We've both had moments in our lives where we were like, I don't want to go through this. I'm ashamed of this. I don't want to talk to anybody about it. And I'll tell you, most recently, I went through a huge problem, and I went right to Jeff, and Jeff never judged me about it ever.
I kind of did. I just didn't tell you.
Shut up.
But that's what a great inner circle does. They never judge. They're there for support through thick and thin. That's exactly what they're supposed to be.
Yeah, there's a lot of value. That's that whole concept that you're sort of the average of the people you hang out with, right? So if you get good quality people in your life, it just makes you a better person. Like, end of story.
Absolutely.
That's related to what you were saying earlier about not taking responsibility for yourself and the stuff that you're going through. Like, part of taking responsibility for whatever's happening is recognizing that you have to take those steps to improve your life. And you do that. One big way of doing that is by surrounding yourself with good people.
Well, I tell people there's a 5-module pyramid to create a healthy relationship and sustainable culture in business and your personal and professional life. Trust. We'll go 5 to 1. Trust, conflict resolution, commitment, accountability, results. If you can go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 up the chain, you'll hit the results. But the minute any of those other 4 get broken, get under distress, or they are snapped, you can forget getting to the results because it will never happen.
All right, let's do those one more time just so we all remember them.
You've got trust, conflict resolution, commitment, accountability, results. Those are the 5.
But let's talk about conflict resolution. What do you recommend in terms of conflict resolution? Like, what if it's an unresolvable conflict, or how do you recommend people resolve conflicts?
There's always a resolvement to a conflict if both sides are willing to listen to each other. So the first thing about being a conflict resolution is being an active listener, not a busy talker. You learn more things from listening than you ever did talking. And the hardest thing people have to get by in conflict resolution, Jillian, is your ego. That's why my company failed. Kayden failed because my ego was just through the roof and it was unmanageable. If you want to succeed in corporate America, think about this. It's the same way in a marriage. Trust, you have conflict. We're all going to have conflict in a marriage. How do you resolve it? Are you committed to staying together? Are you accountable? Are you going to achieve the results of having a happy, successful marriage? My wife and I had some real tough times in our marriage in the beginning. We were married to be 6 years next month. Wasn't all rosy red. I mean, we're going through financial stress, bankruptcy, all kinds of different stuff, and just, financial strain and all this stuff, right? And there was many times it was hard. It was, and I was really horrible at conflict resolution. I would get mad, I would yell, I would scream, and it would cause more conflict, more dissension. And I woke up one day, it was March 2018, I said, wow, if I don't fix this and be committed to our marriage and accountable to what I need to do on my side of the fence, we'll never have results and we're not going to make it. And I have a stepdaughter who's 17 now, who I've known since she was 8. Her father He takes care of his responsibilities financially, but he's not there. He sees it like once or twice a year. That's it. He lives in Taiwan. My daughter is half Caucasian, half Taiwanese. So he works. He takes care of responsibilities, pays child support every month, bought her a car. Great guy as far as taking care of the financial side of things. But as far as being a dad, no. I taught her, like a real day, I taught her how to drive. I taught her how to deal with somebody to wash her clothes, all that. Like I've taught her how to do all the things that she's doing now along with her mom. So, and I have a 6-year-old. I didn't want to have my ignorance and my ego get in the way again, like I did with my construction company. So I tightened myself up and learned how to resolve conflict. And we've had tips like everybody does, but they're very minor. We haven't had a big fight in like almost 3 years now.
No, that's awesome.
Because I've learned, like, it's not, if you're going to be with somebody, be there all the way. Because end of the day, like you said, Jillian, she stuck me through a bankruptcy, no money, all that type of stuff. She deserves to be here for the good times now as well.
I have a question, and then Jeff, I'll let you get the last question. And this is a really personal one. Because this is my biggest fear is running out of money. It's a completely unfounded fear. I'm working on it. But my biggest fear is running out of money. And I'm wondering, how do you, so you had a bunch of money, you lost a bunch of money, you were at the bottom, and now you're making money and you have money. How are you a steward of that money now? How do you handle your money now?
I'm very cognizant of what we spend, not to the point where it's nitpicking, but I'm very aware of what we do and how we spend. And I'm very much just cognizant of that because I want to make sure as we move forward that we don't drain. And I tell my wife, and I find out she agrees, it's so easy to spend money, but so hard to make it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's definitely something in that. So I know you have to go here in a second. So we have one question we like to ask everyone at the end of the show, and I usually tell people in advance, so I apologize in advance for not giving you a heads up on this, but the question is this: what does living the best version of your last life ever mean to you?
Living my best version is helping people succeed where I failed. That's my life. That's what I do. Coaching, consulting, speaking, brand ambassador, in general, helping people succeed where I failed. Giving people the chance to live their best life. I tell you all the time, great saying by Jim Rohn, discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishments. When you help people turn their goals into accomplishments, you achieve your accomplishments as well. But it all starts with helping people succeed where I have failed. That's my call.
No, that's great. Thank you for that. So if someone in the audience wants to get a hold of you, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
They can go to our website, www.marquesogden.com, or shoot me an email, marcus_ogden@yahoo.com. Connect with us and let's have a chat. All consultations are free, and look forward to connecting with you soon.
All right, that's great. Thanks so much for being here. We really appreciate it. Jillian, are you ready to wrap up the show, or you got anything else? Thank you so much, Marcus. I appreciate you coming on, and we look forward to talking to you again in the future. No,
very inspiring. Very.
Oh inspiring. Yeah, no, I agree with Veronica who said that. Right, great advice, inspiration.
And Pam was listening the entire time. Thanks, Pam. If you help others, you don't have to worry about your situation. Always put others first, and everybody matters. I do believe everybody matters.
I gotta say this about Pam real quick, just so you know. Pam actually makes her company, rather not Pam personally, actually makes the old-fashioned real estate swag, like our hats and our shirts and all that stuff. Cool. So yeah, so if people want to reach out to Pam, they can get stuff like old-fashioned gear, but also other gear for their own businesses as well.
Well, it's funny because I wear my old-fashioned t-shirts all the time, and I drink out of my old-fashioned cups all the time.
Oh yeah, and that was Pam's idea. Like it was literally her idea to make those cups, and those are great, right? Like the old-fashioned highball cups. And and people can get those obviously oldfashioned.com. Not that I'm promoting my other show, but I am. And but really with Pam's business, it's actually called Pro Logo Depot. So it's prologodepot.net. So people can check that out. And Pam's awesome. And also if you can't remember,
a free shout out to our millions of listeners.
Yeah. And then if people can't remember, they can just message me and I'll put them in contact with Pam. So. And
So
hopefully
what's
I got
new?
her website right. If she's still watching, she can correct me if I'm wrong. So
What's new, Jeffrey?
well, I mean, I'm going to Puerto Rico for a month, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I'm going to join you.
Oh,
Yay!
that's great. I'm excited. It's going to be fun. So I'm going to go with my friend Jillian to Puerto Rico for a month. I just decided maybe Pam and her husband Jim will stop by too. They've been talking about coming at some point. So maybe they will just stop by too. And maybe we'll hang out with a former guest, Harry Dent. He lives in San Juan. So maybe we'll get to see him.
Yeah. Okay. So if anybody wants to come, we're going to be in Puerto Rico from the middle of May to the middle of June or somewhere.
Yeah. So maybe we can have like a Last Life Ever Memorial Day party. Why not?
Like
a Last Life Ever Memorial Day party on the beach in San Juan. So anyone who wants to show up can just come, and you'll have to buy your own flight and like get your own hotel room, but you can still come and hang out with us. So it'll be fun.
Exactly. Yeah. It'll be super fun.
Yeah, I won't even charge them too much, like a couple grand just to see, shake my hand or something. No, you know what? I'm going to let them come for free just because I like every one of you, all of our listeners and viewers.
I'm going to be honest. I don't have a joke today.
Oh, that's okay. I didn't really have one either. I'm actually not in a very jokey mood today because we had to make a hard decision today.
You did. Do you want to tell people about it?
Well, I mean, they're going to find out anyway, so I might as well tell them now because probably my wife, since she's at work, isn't watching the show live and won't freak out while she's at work. So we're actually going to put Stella down tomorrow. So tomorrow afternoon, going to have to take care of that. She's really old. As people who watch the show know, I have the world's oldest Great Dane for another 21 hours or so.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, Jeff. It sucks.
It does. It's one of those things where like it would be selfish not to do it at this point.
I get it.
But it still sucks. Like actually right before the show, I was like laying down on her bed next to her crying. So kind of lame, but also like, it is what you do. You got to go through that
it's
process.
Right hand to God. This weekend, I saw a commercial. I don't remember what the commercial is for, but the commercial had a puppy in it that looked like a dog I used to have. And I started getting a little weepy. Like I missed my dog. That dog. That dog was the best dog. And I missed that dog. So rest in peace, Bubba, wherever you may be over the rainbow.
I miss Bubba too, and I don't even know him.
He was the best dog. He was truly the best dog.
No, that's clearly Stella. She gets best dog of the week.
She gets the best dog of the year. How about that?
We'll give her the year. Yeah. No, I actually feel the same way though. I have for 5 years after we put down our dog Roxy, I actually carried her little pink heart dog tag on my keychain. Like I had it on my keychain, and every morning I would get a little weepy when I would get my keys out. Isn't that weird? It was really hard though. I don't like it at all. It makes me not want to have dogs.
I get that. I didn't want to have a dog after my last one.
I love my dogs. I still have 2 dogs. It's better than 0, but
yeah, but they're Chihuahuas.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Look at this. Clement says she misses Bubba too.
Well, she said Nate misses Bubba too, but yeah.
That's sweet. Thank you, Clement.
So it's a weird time. I got this positive stuff. We're gonna go to Puerto Rico in a month. And we couldn't make that decision before, right? Because we not saying we're getting rid of Stella because we're going to Puerto Rico. I don't want people to think I'm being cold and calculating. But she is the world's oldest Great Dane. Yeah. So. Yeah, no, but the truth is, look, we have been putting off doing stuff like that because Becky and I haven't been able to travel at the same time for the last year. Right. And so when we made the decision to book the trip to Puerto Rico, and Becky's only able to come for part of the time, I'll be there a little bit longer than her, but when we made that decision, it really was, we knew for sure that we'd already decided that Stella wasn't going to make it a month from now. The last few weeks, it's been really obvious that we're in the end period. So, and it is what it is. What can you do about it? So I know this is the most happy show we've ever done now.
Listen, I'll end it with this. That Marcus was amazing.
Yeah,
that is an amazing story. And the fact that he knew that moment when he was like, he gave it all up and was like, okay, he took, you know what? It was like a moment he took responsibility and he put down all his ego at the same time. And it was at his lowest point. Like he took responsibility on that curb, you know, in garbage. And so.
Yeah. So that, to me, that was like really impactful. But honestly, I felt like his like real turnaround actually came later than that, when he was talking about recognizing that he wasn't treating his relationships correctly. And he was like, if I keep acting how I'm acting right now, we're going to end up divorced. I'm not going to be there for my kids. Mm-hmm. And to me, that takes, like, you know, when you're poor and like working for $8 an hour and like covered in trash, it's really easy to be like, well, I got to do something different. But when you're making money and like, you know, everything's going reasonably well, it's hard to make that, to recognize that you have things you have to work on. So to me, that's actually more impressive, right? Because when things are going well, it's really easy to be like, oh, everything's going well. But like, and that's when people end up in divorce. That's when people end up, you know, getting into crazy. It's the same problem that he had the first time around. His business is going well. So you kind of slack a little bit, right? Everything's going well. So like, to me, that's the real point, that the most important point is when he recognized, you know what, like things might be going well on the outside, but inside there's things I have to work on.
Right.
Like to me, that's the hard work right there. Cause like it's easy. Like, I mean, not that it's easy, but like I've been in both places, right? Like I've been bankrupt and like dying. Like it was pretty easy to recognize I had to try something different at that point. It wasn't that hard of a decision.
Hey, this isn't working out. I might die and I'm not going to have any money.
Yeah, right. Like that, I gotta go to something else, right? But like for you, like when you decided to get out of your law firm, like that's hard. Like, you know, you could have kept doing what you were doing and you chose not to.
I appreciate that, but at the same time, I was miserable for a really long time.
Sure.
I mean, I remember there was a very specific day when I was at my law firm and one of my employees said something to me about how I had a responsibility to always run the law firm. And I just felt, it was that moment on, I felt trapped and I accepted my fate. And it wasn't until, you know, a lot of things started happening that on the outside looked very negative, but actually were very positive things, because it didn't so much force me to make a decision, but it made the decision to be able to sell my law firm 1,000 times easier. I gave up a ton of money. Yeah,
but you know what you got in exchange for that? You get to come to Puerto Rico. And you get to come to Puerto Rico and hang out with this guy right here.
Yeah, exactly. No, what I got in exchange for that is I don't have a fear of Sunday nights anymore, because I would be so afraid of Sunday nights because I knew what Monday morning was going to bring. And so my Sunday nights would just be like, okay, I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. And, you know, so I appreciate you saying that. But at the same time, like, I was miserable. And I'm just glad I'm not doing that anymore. And by the way, I don't want to say— It's
still hard to make those decisions, though, because you're making money, you're paying your bills, a lot of money. Stuff's going pretty well financially. Yeah. And it's really easy to be like, oh, I'm just going to work more. Like, instead of fix it, I'm just going to go make more money and that'll solve everything. Like, that's a real easy trap to fall in. And that's why to me, that was the most important part in his story, actually. Yeah. When he realized that.
Yeah.
But anyway, listen, I think that it is time to wrap up the show. And since we don't have any jokes and we had the most depressing end show of all time, at least for me, I think we'll laugh and we'll smile and we'll come back again some other day. But for right now, Jillian, what would you like to remind our audience?
Remember, everyone, to live the best version of your last life ever.